Part 27. I Took Away the Villain's Son. Author, the Great Onmyoji. Chapter 263. Did you hear that? A whale of all kinds appears on the edge of Void Island. Of course I know. Don't you know yet? Many sages and even quasi-emperors have come out just to capture the whales of all things. All things whale, that is a legendary creature that has endless benefits to the small world. I never expected that it would appear in the South China Sea. That's right, Emperor Zun came to the South China Sea a few days ago. He came here only after he received the news and knew that the whales of all things appeared. These days, rumors start popping up out of nowhere. All kinds of whales appear in the South China Sea. This legendary creature was not particularly eye-catching before the Dark Ages. After all, at that time, there was no way to evolve the world. But it's different now. As long as they are sages, who has not evolved the world? Some extremely powerful quasi-emperors have even evolved their own small worlds into the big world. Because of this, it is self-evident how beneficial it is to have a whale of all things in your own world. As the news of the appearance of the whale of all things spread in the South China Sea, it didn't take long for it to spread throughout the Ziwei star. Even, not as big as Ziwei Daxing. At this time, Ziwei star had many supreme geniuses coming from other stars. When they heard the news, they all rushed towards the South China Sea without hesitation. There is no way, whales are too rare. Existences that can be called legendary creatures are so rare that even the emperor would be tempted. The world is shocked. The appearance of the whale of all things caused the entire Ziwei star to boil. Interesting. On this day, Yang Hao also flew in the South China Sea, and saw many sages and even quasi-emperors along the way. He naturally knew that the news about the whale of all things spread throughout the Ziwei star, and he even knew how the news spread of. Are you so confident that you are spreading the news just to stop me? Yang Hao's mouth curved into a slight smile. Yes. The news about the whale was spread by Lin Feng. According to Wen Wan's report, it seemed to be to prevent him from catching the whale first. Because of this, Yang Hao was not in a hurry. Half of Ruomu is in his prehistoric killing array, and at least the killing array will not go berserk for hundreds of years. He has enough time to search for this whale of all things in the South China Sea. Moreover, he is not the first practitioner to discover the whale of all things. On the contrary, Lin Feng is. Because of his arrival, Lin Feng chose to make the news about whales public, and he may have other plans. Therefore, Yang Hao is not in a hurry. At this moment, it seems that he is searching on the South China Sea, but in fact he is just secretly searching with Wen Wan kept in touch and waited for Lin Feng's actions. Yang Hao's idea was very simple. As the protagonist, Lin Feng was confident about all things, so he must be sure. It was enough for him to just follow him and reap the benefits, so why waste time searching for the whale of all things? Yang Hao, who learned about the whale of all things in the Tianji Book of Tiantong Holy Land, knew very well how difficult it is to encounter the whale of all things. But this little guy, Xiao Nanan, actually took Suqing and ran here. That's all, I don't bother to care about her. This little girl is very mysterious and should be fine. Yang Hao has naturally received messages from Lu Yan these days and knows that the little girl and Suqing have come to Nanhai. But Yang Hao didn't see this little guy. He didn't care either. This came from Emperor Changjiao. The little girl is more mysterious than he thought. Over the years since he brought the little girl back, he has never deliberately taken care of it. Yang Hao believes that at a certain time, the little girl will naturally have her own opportunities. He just needs to wait quietly. Therefore, even if the little girl brought Suqing to the South China Sea, he did not deliberately search for it. Everything is left to chance, and the most important thing is to capture all whales. Found all kinds of whales. Holy Lord Yang, many people have gone, why don't you go? At this moment, a voice suddenly came from Yang Hao's ear. Holy Lord of Heaven. Yang Hao took a look and found that the figure of Holy Lord Tiantong appeared. The other party was also a powerful saint. After learning about the appearance of the whale of all things, he did not hesitate to join the team that captured the whale of all things. At this moment, he suddenly and Yang Hao looked at each other and said to Yang Hao, making Yang Hao also smile and say, since someone has discovered it, let's go together. He didn't expect that the whale of all things would appear again and be discovered. As the Holy Lord Tiantong, he naturally couldn't deceive himself. Since someone discovered it, he didn't mind going to have a look. Maybe, he would be able to windfall. That's just right, let's go together, and whoever can catch the whale of all things will depend on his or her ability. Holy Lord Tiantong said to Yang Hao with a smile. That's natural, Yang Hao also said lightly. He didn't take it seriously. It's not that easy to catch the whale. He just followed to see the situation. After he couldn't tell, the wagon whale had disappeared. The two of them stepped forward. After a while, under the leadership of Holy Lord Tiantong, they ran at extremely high speed and flew hundreds of millions of miles away in the blink of an eye. Gradually, there were more and more people. Almost all of them were saints, or even beings above the saint realm. The South China Sea has not been so lively for a long time. I don't know who will capture the whale of all things this time. However, I believe that the whale is very likely to escape. 30,000 years ago, a whale of all things appeared in the western desert. At that time, a quasi-emperor also came out, but still did not leave the whale of all things behind. In the end, the whale of all things went to the ancient road in the starry sky. Holy Lord Tiantong has extensive knowledge and casually told Yang Hao the secret. Oh! Did a legendary creature like the whale of all things actually appear in the western desert 30,000 years ago? It seems that the Ziwei star is indeed uniquely endowed. Yang Hao sighed. He knew from the Book of Secrets how rare the whales are. In just tens of thousands of years, two whales appeared one after another. Indeed, as he said, the great star Ziwei was so lucky that it was possible to have such a rare whale. Vision. Haha, of course, my Ziwei star is enough to rank among the top 100 cultivation stars in the sky. If Ziwei Daxing hadn't gone through the dark ages and suffered a severe loss of vitality, even the top 30 or even the top 10 would have been possible. Holy Lord Tiantong said to Yang Hao again. Yeah. How powerful are these other great cultivation stars? When Yang Hao heard this, he became interested. This was the first time he heard someone talk about the situation in Zhushan Wangxing's Hong. The great stars of merit, immortality, and virtual God have a history of more than millions of years. They have the most terrifying background and have experienced endless fighting. Big stars such as Donghuang and Nanyu also have a history of nearly a million years. Holy Lord Tiantong was also very free and easy, telling Yang Hao one by one about many situations of the stars in the sky, so that Yang Hao could learn more about them. It seems that the older a spiritual star is, the more powerful it is. Of course, it is also possible that the longer the history, the easier it is to be destroyed. Yang Hao nodded secretly. It has a long history, which proves that the cultivation has been developed for a long time and has a strong foundation. It is not surprising. But the older the cultivation star is, the more likely it is to face decay. For the emperor, millions the year has been extremely long. For hundreds of millions of years, such a situation has not happened in this world. Of course, it is possible that such an existence really exists. But for the current Yang Hao or the Holy Lord Tiantong, it's really too far away, so it's not surprising that there is an information gap. Arrive. Holy Lord Tiantong suddenly froze, and the conversation between the two came to an abrupt end. He looked forward, his eyes flickering. It seems that these people want to drive the whales of all things into the Void Island and take advantage of the special situation of the Void Island. Suppress and capture all whales. Holy Master Yang, I'm sorry, I'm going to pursue my opportunity. After saying a word, Holy Lord Tiantong disappeared from the place. Interesting. Yang Hao saw Holy Lord Tiantong disappearing and heading towards the end of Tiank, but did not move forward immediately. In his eyes, at least dozens of figures appeared. Each figure had the lowest cultivation level of a saint, and most of them were sages, and even the quasi-emperor had several of them. He did not act rashly. The whales of all things in the distance were expelled by strong men and fled towards the Void Island. These powerful men of the extreme path obviously have a lot of respect for whales of all things. Understand that they are all trying their best to prevent the whale from using whale fall, so that the wagon whale cannot escape into the world of Deo. Not only that, there are too many powerful beings in front of it. The wagon whale also knows that it cannot escape as a whale at all. With its wisdom, naturally, he understood that these powerful people were driving him away, but why didn't he want to enter a dangerous place like Void Island and rely on it to escape? So, in full view of everyone, the whale of all things entered the Void Island. Walk. Quick. In Yang Hao's eyes, figures after figures rushed madly into dangerous places that no one would normally want to enter. Lin Feng, are you still moving? Yang Hao is as stable as a mountain, and has secretly targeted Lin Feng, who is here in disguise. He is going to follow Lin Feng and become a yellow bird. In addition, Yang Hao also knows very well that there are also drunkards here who are not interested in drinking. Some people, not only came to capture the whale of all things, but also came to hunt him. Those in the imperial list, the supreme geniuses. A cold light flashed in Yang Hao's eyes. I took away the villain's son. Author, the great Onmyoji. Chapter 264. Void Island is an island suspended in the sky. It doesn't look big, but at a glance, it's a desperate black color. Everyone who has entered Void Island will know how vast it is. This dangerous place is not much smaller than the Eternal Forbidden Zone, the ancient battlefield and other places. But for many powerful people in the extreme, this Void Island with a closed avenue is the perfect place to capture whales of all kinds. Have you entered? Yang Hao watched Lin Feng and Wenwan in disguise enter the Void Island, and waited for a moment before slowly entering. He and Wenwan had a special connection and could catch up with them at any time. If he followed them too closely, he would attract Lin Feng's attention. Now after Lin Feng entered, he entered again, but he did not attract any attention. Not long after Yang Hao entered, a little girl riding a phoenix also appeared outside the Void Island. Hi! The master has entered. Xiao Qing Qing, we are going in too. This little girl is naturally the little girl. She has been hiding in the dark, waiting for Yang Hao to enter before taking Su Qing to fly out. If you continue like this, you will be punished by your master. Su Qing was very helpless and said to the little girl. It's okay. If the owner finds out now, he will definitely not let us go in. It's very lively and interesting here. The little girl smiled and entered the Void Island with Su Qing. Void Island. One of the 10 most dangerous places. Being ranked among the top 10 most dangerous places in Zyway Star, it goes without saying that it is extremely dangerous. The Void Island is formed by the endless exiled void. Exiling the void is not easy. In the exiled void, the Great Road is looming and may be cut off from it at any time. It is self-evident how much a saint's strength will decline if he cannot control the avenue. This is somewhat similar to the Eternal Forbidden Zone, except that Void Island banishes the avenue in the void and is blocked, which makes the suppression of saints even more terrifying. In addition, there are various powerful beings of saints and above. Combined with the banishment to the void and the void storms that appear from time to time, it is enough to become the burial ground for many powerful people. Yang Hao stepped into the Void Island and instantly felt that he had entered an extremely strange space. In this space, many avenues were obscured, and his sense of the avenues was vaguely visible. The 6 avenues I control, including reincarnation, underworld and the five elements, cannot be sensed in this exile space. In addition, even the stars and the avenue of destruction are extremely difficult to sense. When using the avenue, the power will be much worse than usual. Only the cursed avenue can still be used normally. Yang Hao sensed this void of exile and was secretly vigilant in his heart. Here, his strength was suppressed by at least half. Fortunately, other people's strength will also be suppressed. Here, of course, the stronger the strength, the better. After controlling the 9 avenues, the avenues blocked by the void will still be more powerful than the other avenues. Yang Hao knows the current situation in Void Island. The stronger the strength, the better. If those saints with mediocre strength and only control one avenue come here, they may die. While thinking, Yang Hao sensed there are fluctuations in this void. Void creature. At least the combat power reaches the 3rd level of Saint Realm. Yang Hao sensed a shadow that suddenly appeared in the void. He was extremely violent and came towards him at the slightest disagreement. He did not get too entangled with this void creature, but fled quickly. Yang Hao knew very well that he was coming. The Void Island is for all whales. There is no need to compete with these void creatures. The void creatures in the 3rd heaven of the Saint Realm are not too powerful for Yang Hao even after being suppressed by combat power. He can easily get rid of the void creatures. Following the message left by Wenwan, began to chase Lin Feng's footsteps. Hundreds of thousands of miles away from Yang Hao. Feng how to find this whale of all things? Void Island is so chaotic, and so many people have entered. When Wan frowned and looked at Lin Feng, who was smiling and confident, and asked with some doubts. Haha, don't worry. Although the whale is indifferent and timid, it loves to eat very much. He has a big secret, that is, he likes to eat Tianlan divine flower. If you smell this thing, all whales will definitely come. When the time comes, Master Yahua, you will absorb the breath of the whale of all things when I capture it. The whale of all things was born from the world of Dao, and its essence is the best magic medicine to repair the damage of Dao. Lin Feng smiled and explained to Wenwan. He didn't lie. The whales of all things like to eat the Tianlan divine flower. He knew this news in his previous life. There is no doubt that in his previous life, the whales of all things also appeared in the South China Sea. And after experiencing an extremely fierce chase, everyone originally thought that the whale had escaped. However, they did not want to be captured by an extremely lucky saint. In the end, the saint's strength increased crazily because of the capture of the whale. He even became a quasi-emperor. As the lucky saint became stronger, he also revealed his experiences that year. It was exactly what Lin Feng said. This saint happened to have a lot of Tianlan divine flowers on his body, and he with the severely injured Wanwu whale was attracted. When the Wanwu whale swallowed the Tianlan divine flower, the saint unexpectedly captured the Wanwu whale and entered it into the inner world. After Lin Feng was reborn, he naturally kept this matter firmly in his heart. He counting the time, he came to the South China Sea. In fact, no matter whether Yang Hao would arrive or not, he would release the news about the whale of all things. But he had to make preparations first, such as confirming whether the whale of all whales was born and preparing the Tianlan divine flower. Waiting for preparations. The arrival of Yang Hao only accelerated the process, allowing the whale of all things to enter the Void Island earlier than the previous life in Lin Feng's memory. I see. Wenwan suddenly realized, no wonder Lin Feng has always been calm and impatient. After entering the Void Island, the avenue was suppressed, and the sense of direction was extremely poor. The aura of exiled void and chaos was everywhere, and her strength was extremely dangerous. If it weren't for in order to follow Lin Feng in compliance with her master's orders, she would never risk entering the Void Island due to her own personality. All right. Calculating the time, it's almost time. At this moment, Lin Feng suddenly said. In his hand, a flower with an elegant fragrance suddenly appeared. Tianlan Divine Flower. The magic medicine made from Tianlan Divine Flower can greatly improve the understanding of the law in a short period of time. Is a rather rare divine object, which is highly sought after by giants and practitioners in the eternal giant realm. However, this object is quite rare. Unexpectedly, Lin Feng actually took out more than 10 Tianlan Divine Flowers in one breath. Next, just wait for the whale of all things to take the bait. Lin Feng smiled lightly and arranged a large number of magic circles to prevent void creatures from intruding. He also concealed his body and quietly waited for the whales of all creatures to take the bait. The right time, right place, right people, this time everything is in my hands. Yang Hao, your journey is destined to be in vain. Lin Feng sneered. Previously, he was worried that the whale of all things would be captured by Yang Hao before entering the Void Island, so he released the news in advance, otherwise he would be able to prepare more Tianlan Divine Flowers. Now, he has entered the Void Island, but he is not there is nothing to worry about anymore. Everything is under control. Wenwan was just like Lin Feng at this moment, waiting quietly without saying anything more. Time passed little by little. Ripples suddenly appeared in the void. The exiled void in all directions has a tendency to be broken. Coming. Lin Feng's eyes suddenly lit up. Could it be a whale of all things? Wenwan's face also showed a look of expectation. Facts have proved that Lin Feng's judgment is correct. The giant head of the whale slowly appeared in the eyes of the two people. The whale has arrived. Its eyes are stuck in the sky. On top of the Tianlan Divine Flower, big drops of saliva dripped down. Obviously, it really loves the Tianlan Divine Flower. Take the bait. When Lin Feng saw this scene, his face showed excitement. But he did not take action immediately, but signaled Wenwan to wait a little longer. Wenwan understood, and quietly looked at the whales of all things near the Lanshan flower that day. Getting closer and closer. Gradually, the whale of all things approached the Tianlan Divine Flower with some vigilance, and began to gently inhale with its huge reveal. It did not directly open its bloody mouth. The Tianlan Divine Flower is too small. It can only inhale. Only in this way can the Wanwu whale feel a longer enjoyment. Gradually, the Wanwu whale sucking the Tianlan Divine Flower fell into a state of enjoyment. That's it? Lin Feng reminded Wenwan. Then he took action instantly, launched his killing array, and enveloped the Wanwan whale. At the same time, he reminded Wenwan to absorb the essence of Wanwan whale. Under the interference of the Void Island environment, Wanwan whale he seemed completely unaware of the coming danger. At this moment, Wenwan's expression suddenly changed. Lin Feng, what are you doing? After Lin Feng saw her absorbing essence with all her heart, the killing array that had been launched suddenly enveloped her. Lin Feng took action on her. Was it exposed? Master, why haven't you arrived yet? When Wenwan saw this scene, her heart sank, thinking that she had been betrayed by Lin Feng _Fei. Lu reminds you, 3 things about reading. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I took away the villain's son. Author, the great Onmyoji. Chapter 265. Lin Feng, what are you doing? Wenwan is, after all, a saint who has practiced for endless years. At this moment, facing Lin Feng's attack, her face was calm and she did not reveal any flaws. Kill you. Lin Feng said to Wenwan in an extremely calm tone. Why? Don't blame me. Do you really think that just a few Tianlan Divine Flowers can make this whale of all things obediently included in the killing array? I need a road. Whales of all things not only like to eat Tianlan Divine Flower, but also like to eat Dao Dao. However, all whales are kind-hearted in nature, but they will not take the initiative to kill them. But if a great road appears, it can make all whales extremely hungry. The time it takes for the whale of all things to swallow the avenue is enough for me to completely capture the whale of all things. Lin Feng sneered. A long time ago, he had already made the mistake of believing too much in the rumors of his previous life. So this time, although he prepared the Tianlan divine flower in advance, Lin Feng made two preparations. Lin Feng also made detailed preparations for the whales of all things. Through his investigation, he learned that the whales like to eat on the road. This second-hand preparation was Wenwan. Sure enough, just as he expected. Although sufficient Tianlan divine flowers were prepared, there was not enough time to refine the whales. So after some observation, Lin Feng took action without hesitation. The fact that Wenwan was transformed by Yang Hao was a big secret. He didn't know that there was such a strange light as the divine light of transformation in the world, so he naturally wouldn't think of it. Wenwan, who has a shocking hatred for Yang Hao, will betray him. There is no reason to attack Wenwan. It is just use. From the beginning, you asked me to come here not to repair the self-explosion injury of the avenue, but to use me as bait for you to capture the whales of all things. When Wenwan heard Yang Hao's words, her face was cold and she exuded a frightening aura. Haha, that's true. If you blow yourself up and destroy an avenue, it is already useless, and it will be of no use. I know you hate Yang Hao. After I capture this whale of all things and become a sage, I will avenge you and kill Yang Hao. Wouldn't it be wonderful? Lin Feng's words were cold and ruthless. There was nothing wrong with what Wenwan said. He had indeed calculated against Wenwan, just to deprive her of a road so that the whale of all things could stay here longer and facilitate his capture. Lin Feng, you have disappointed me. Wenwan's eyes showed various expressions, which were extremely complicated. She was only transformed by Yang Hadu, but she never lost her true self. Because of this, she has always been very optimistic about Lin Feng. If not for this, she would not have asked for Lin Feng back then. Yang Hao took action. It's a pity. Lin Feng's behavior now is too cold-blooded. Disappointment. In this world, there is no need for such fearless emotions. Only by being strong can you overcome everything. Lin Feng said lightly, with a calm tone. As his words fell, a terrifying aura filled the air, killing Wenwan. Wan frowned, but found that he could not advance or retreat, so he could only face Lin Feng's killing blow. Since Lin Feng had already made plans to kill her, so he had naturally made arrangements long ago. This void of exile completely blocked the avenues she controlled. In terms of foundation and strength, she was no longer Lin Feng's opponent. Master Yahua, give up your resistance. Your sacrifice now will help to kill Yang Hao in the future. Thinking about it this way, do you feel a little more willing? Lin Feng smiled and said to Wenwan sincerely. If Yang Hao hadn't oppressed him too deeply, he wouldn't have done anything to Wenwan. Now he also knew that Yang Hao had entered the Void Island, but all these things were killing him. He has long been prepared to win. He will not allow any mistakes. All whales must be refined by him. Wenwan must die. Snapped. 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 At this moment, a clear and crisp sound came from the sky. Who? Lin Feng's expression changed. Time and space changed in the Void Island. He deliberately found an extremely remote place in order to refine the whales of all things. He never thought that at this critical moment, someone would come. Wonderful scene. I didn't disturb you, did I? A faint laugh came, seemingly extremely polite. But Lin Feng's expression suddenly changed drastically. Yang, Hao. He spat out the words one by one, his eyes fixed on the dark void in the distance, where a slender and tall figure slowly walked towards him. Although he could not see his face clearly under the breath of void, he just heard Lin Feng recognized the identity of the person coming from the voice. Yang Hao actually came here. How can it be? He clearly entered after me. The void storm in Void Island is endless, and every trace will be wiped out. He shouldn't appear here. Lin Feng looked to the left and right. The whale of all things was still addicted to the Tianlan divine flower, and the other side, Wen Wan, was also trapped by him, and she was on the verge of death. Everything was developing in a good direction. But why did Yang Hao come here? Lin Feng, the face is distorted and cannot be understood. Are you confused? Why am I here? Why did I find you again? Lin Feng. Yang Hao looked at Lin Feng with a smile. He shuttled through the void, coming with a gentle breath all the way. It didn't take long to come here, but he witnessed a good show in full. He had been in Wan Wan before. When he was in the Dao Pavilion, Yang Hao knew that Lin Feng had a gloomy and cunning personality. Unexpectedly, Lin Feng was even more ruthless than he imagined. Wen Wan was Lin Feng's die-hard supporter, but when things came to a head, Lin Feng was determined to kill him. Got it? Damn it! He recognized me. Lin Feng's heart suddenly jumped. He hid his identity, but he didn't expect to be recognized by Yang Hao. At this moment, Lin Feng really felt panic in his heart. He knew Yang Hao's current strength very well. Knowing that now there was no way he could be Yang Hao's opponent. His thoughts suddenly changed. Between the lightning and flint, Lin Feng directly fired a terrifying divine thunder and headed towards the whale of all things. I can't get it, and you can't get it either. He made a prompt decision and wanted to wake up the whale of all things that was addicted to sucking the Tianlan divine flower. At the same time, Lin Feng released his control on Wen Wan and said to her, let's go quickly. Of course he is not trying to save Wen Wan at this moment, but is planning to let Wen Wan attract Yang Hao's attention. It would be best if Yang Hao could chase Wen Wan. It's a pity. Lin Feng's terrifying divine thunder, as early as Yang Hao expected. A series of strange divine lights bloomed out. The divine light of destiny. Yang Hao was obviously on guard against Lin Feng. Almost the moment he took action, he used the divine light of destiny to use Lin Feng's divine thunder. Eliminate them all. Obviously. Although this is the void of exile and has blocked many avenues, it cannot block the law of fate. Hateful. When Lin Feng saw this scene, his expression changed drastically. He turned into lightning and escaped. Unfortunately, a figure had already blocked his way. Wen Wan, what are you doing? Get out of here. The person blocking Lin Feng's path was naturally Wen Wan. Seeing Wen Wan blocking the road, Lin Feng thought Wen Wan was because of what she had done to him just now, which made her feel revengeful. This crazy woman. Lin Feng was extremely angry, but he suppressed his anger and reminded, if we don't escape, both of us will fall here. Yeah. Wen Wan chuckled lightly at this moment. Her withered and decayed appearance suddenly turned into a stunning beauty that would captivate the country. Not only that, a series of extremely powerful magic weapons came out from all around Wen Wan. He. When Yang Hao saw this scene, he found it quite interesting. Wen Wan said that Lin Feng has no memory of Wandao Pavilion, but I think he has recovered. Isn't this cunning guy very surprised at this moment? An evil smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Yang Hao suddenly appeared next to Wen Wan and put his arm through Wen Wan's waist. Without saying a word, he looked at Lin Feng with interested eyes. You. Yahua, you betrayed me. When Lin Feng saw this scene, his face turned pale. It's like this. If he doesn't understand what's going on, he is really stupid. He also understands why Yang Hao is here. From the beginning, his whereabouts have been exposed. Wen Wan belongs to Yang Hao? Why? Looking at Wen Wan, who had regained his youth, as if he had not been affected by the self-destruction of the avenue at all, Lin Feng roared angrily like a furious lion. He had pursued Wen Wan in the past. But Wen Wan looked down on him. When he returned from the secret realm and became a saint in acting, he still looked down on the decayed old man and destroyed his gentleness. But even so, Lin Feng's heart was still burning with jealousy at this moment, and his heart was extremely sad. He didn't understand what happened. Why would Wenwan, who was forced by Yang Hao to blow up his entire life, ignore the past grievances and reconcile with Yang Hao? When Yang Hao saw Lin Feng's expression, he was deeply interested. He smiled evilly. Wenwan, of course he couldn't, he only used her as a chess piece without giving any emotion. Now that he could make Lin Feng so furious, he felt very happy. I heard you say. The whale of all things is very happy with the Dao. I wonder if he will like your Dao. Yang Hao said to Lin Feng with a smile, but the next moment he took action directly. I took away the villain's son. Author, the great Onmyoji. Chapter 266. Snort. When Lin Feng heard this, his eyes changed. He knew that he was like a turtle in a urn at this moment, and there was no way out. Just when he was about to say something, Lin Feng's scalp suddenly became numb. A great terror came. Yang Hao worrying about long nights and many dreams, plus refining all things whales, there is not so much time to talk nonsense with Lin Feng. From the time he appeared to Lin Feng, it was only a moment. Curse. Yang Hao said calmly. Terror came. Lin Feng felt extremely weak, as if he was about to be swallowed up and rotten by an inexplicable force. Cursed avenue. Damn it. Lin Feng understood the source of this terror in an instant. In this void of exile, the auras of many avenues were blocked, but the cursed avenue remained intact. This was also the reason why Yang Hao used the cursed avenue. Although Yang Hao rarely used Curse's avenue, but it does not mean that this avenue is weak. On the contrary, this avenue is extremely weird and difficult for many saints to guard against. In addition, even though they are both quasi-sages, the gap between Yang Hao and Lin Feng is now really it was too big. As soon as the words fell, the cursed avenue easily suppressed Lin Feng, who was also suppressed in the exile void. Lin Feng's aura quickly declined in Yang Hao's eyes. No matter if the other party sacrificed various divine objects or cleansing laws, the aura of the avenue has no effect whatsoever. There should be accidents. Yang Hao squinted his eyes at this moment, and most of his mind was actually on the whale. When he first appeared, he had quietly enveloped the whale with the Jingshen sect, and was slowly absorbing the opponent's huge body. But Yang Hao knew very well that if Lin Feng was not suppressed, there would definitely be various changes that would affect him in refining all things whales. His eyes of destiny that had been open had already seen the endless disturbance of the thread of destiny from this moment on. Lin Feng crisscrossed over him. As he suppressed Lin Feng, the threads of destiny were shaking crazily. According to Yang Hao's judgment, I am afraid that in the next moment, various accidents will occur, allowing Lin Feng to escape. Earned 1.13 billion points due to Void Storm appears. Earned 1,060 million points for discovering the Void Leader. The system revenue records that Yang Hao had been paying attention to started to flash on the screen like crazy. Coming. Void Storm. Not only that, there are also 2 leaders of void creatures whose strength reaches the 9th level of the Saint. Yang Hao's eyes sparkled with light. The thread of fate in his eyes was swaying crazily, and the opportunity for Lin Feng to escape had appeared. Pity. If it were me in the past, I might still need to worry a little or two. But now. That's how it is to break all laws with force. Yang Hao chuckled. The shocking gate instantly enveloped Lin Feng. He knew that the Lin Feng in front of him looked weak and even suspected of being seriously injured. But he didn't know if Lin Feng had given birth to a clone again like before. If the other party wanted to do it again, self-destruction will not only disturb the whales of all things, but also allow the other party to escape again. This is not what he wants. In comparison, the Jingshen sect is much stronger than Lin Feng in terms of collection. Always pay attention to the various forces running through Lin Feng's body. Yang Hao, who has a thread of destiny, used the Jingshen sect to envelop Lin Feng in the moment the void storm and void creatures appeared. Lin Feng, who was admitted to the Jingshen sect, would not be able to survive or die. At the moment when Lin Feng was suppressed, Yang Di swept away the divine light of destiny and the cursed avenue, and directly cursed the void creatures that broke in. Those void creatures shrouded by the cursed avenue collapsed instantly. Although they were constantly gathering, they were extremely difficult to be destroyed. He cursed the avenue to kill, but he couldn't get close to Yang Hao. This was enough. But what made Yang Hao frown was another crisis. The void creatures are easy to deal with, and I should be able to resist the void storm. But the whale of all things should be about to be completely awakened. Yang Hao was very happy to suppress Lin Feng into Jingshen Gate. But the next scene made his face darken. The heaven and earth shook. The void was shattered. Terrifying storms struck one after another, exiling this area instantly. The void tore apart. Yang Hao took Wenwan away from the Wei Tower without thinking. From Yang Hao's perspective, this void storm could easily tear apart a saint with the strength of Lin Feng and Wenwan. Even he could at the beginning, he accelerated the collection of the whale of all things while retreating, not wanting to waste his energy and collide with the void storm. The emergence of the void storm has also obscured the cursed avenue. Fortunately, I sensed a stronger aura of the avenue of stars and the avenue of destruction. Such a rotation can be considered a blessing in disguise, and it has greatly enhanced my combat power. Yang Hao's Jingshen Gate is flashing with divine light at this moment, as if it is finally going to include all the whales in it. Not good. At this moment, Yang Hao frowned. This void storm was very terrifying. The whale of all things finally woke up from sucking the Tianlan divine flower. He turned into a whale. The whale, who was awakened, immediately sensed the terrifying crisis. Almost instantly, the whale seemed to be decomposed, turning into billions of tiny whales, heading in all directions. Trouble. When Yang Hao saw this scene, even though the Jingshen sect purified the divine light and collected large tracts of tiny whales of all things into the Jingshen sect. On ordinary days, the Jingshen sect would definitely have great power and could absorb all the whales of all things. All were completely suppressed and income was collected. But this time is different. The terrifying void storm can greatly interfere with the Jingshen sect's collection of transformed whales. Suppressing Lin Feng caused too many variables. At this moment, Yang Hao, the god of destiny, suddenly there was a flash, and his face became a little embarrassed. Blood-red threads of destiny appeared crazily one after another. He knew that this was a sign of a greater crisis to come. Go first. Although Yang Hao knew that accidents would happen frequently and had already made a lot of preparations, Void Island is one of the top 10 most dangerous places after all, and there are too many unexpected variables. Yang Hao didn't know what he would encounter next. Again, in addition, the whale of all things had already escaped, so he just thought for a moment before making a plan. His figure immediately entered the Jingshen section. The moment he entered the Jingshen sect, this Ji-Dao Emperor, the soldiers were enveloped by the terrifying void storm. However, the material of the Jingshen Gate was so amazing that it did not suffer any damage. Instead, it was like a boat in the storm, drifting with the storm. Not only that, the aura of the Jingshen Gate also began to gradually disappear into nothingness. As if dissipated in this void of exile. Escaped. Pity. In the void storm, you can vaguely hear the voice of regret. There are actually people who can walk through the terrifying void storm without hindrance. In the Jingshen Gate. After Lin Feng was admitted to Jingshen sect by Yang Hao, he was not punished like Zhang Tianyu, but was simply imprisoned. Obviously, Yang Hao was not familiar with Jingshen sect and was worried that Lin Feng would turn into a walking corpse like Zhang Tianyu and lose any consciousness. This person knows many great secrets and is of great use value. So Yang Hao just imprisoned Lin Feng first. He entered the Jingshen gate from the Void Storm not only to avoid the Void Storm, but also to suppress Lin Feng personally and bring him into the Wei Tower for transformation. Let me go or you will regret it. I have a trump card. But at this time, Lin Feng, who was already in a desperate situation, still said to Yang Hao. Yang Hao looked at Lin Feng and said, "Oh." He didn't expect that Lin Feng would be so confident after falling into the Jingshen sect. If you have a trump card, use it. Yang Hao didn't care. Lin Feng obviously didn't know the terror of Jingshen sect. He directly mobilized the power of Jingshen sect, and a series of terrifying pressure began to deprive Lin Feng of all his strength. No. Don't want. My trump card lies with the outside world. If I fall, your secret will be spread throughout the world. Lin Feng felt the terrifying power coming from the Jingshen sect's turbulence, and his expression suddenly changed. He was suffering from almost extreme pain, and under the suppression of the Jingshen sect, he was unable to self-destruct. In a desperate situation, he quickly show your trump card. My secret? Yang Hao looked at Lin Feng and asked strangely, why don't I know what secret I have? After your death, you were still able to spread my secrets to the world. Are there still clones outside of it? Through Wenwan, Yang Hao had already known Lin Feng's previous escape method. Clone. However, Yang Hao didn't care. He did not intend to kill Lin Feng, but to transform him and get all his secrets. If Lin Feng still has a clone, not to mention whether the transformation can affect his clone. After Lin Feng is transformed, he can personally lead the way to suppress Lin Feng's other clones. As for the secrets, Lin Feng said, Yang Hao, but he doesn't care. He has never concealed any secrets. If you really want to say it, it can only be the system. But it is impossible for Lin Feng to know this. In Yang Hao's view, what the other party said is very important. The probability is just to deceive him. You do not believe? Then try to kill me. When the time comes, you will be ruined and disgraced by the world. When Lin Feng saw that Yang Hao was indifferent, he still punished him. His face was extremely twisted, and he said angrily and arrogantly _Fei. Lu reminds you, 3 things about reading. I took away the villain's son. Author, the great Onmyoji. Chapter 267. Oh. Hearing this, Yang Hao raised his eyelids. That's up to you. As his words fell to the ground, the Jingshen sect was filled with terrifying fluctuations, and it attacked and killed Lin Feng. Inside the Jingshen sect, Yang Hao's control over the Jingshen sect was much higher than outside. Ah! You will regret this. Lin Feng's shrill voice resounded. But under the attack of the Jingshen sect, he became weaker and weaker. He was seriously injured to the point where he could not even self-destruct. Not only that, the Jingshen sect's strange power kept fluctuating under Yang Hao's will. The 3 avenues in Lin Feng's body gradually emerged. No. Don't want. Lin Feng roared in horror. He already understood what Yang Hao was going to do next. Strip off the avenue. Just like what he wanted to do to Wenwan before, strip off the avenue and use it as bait to feed the whales of all things. But Yang Hao he sneered and didn't care. The aura of Jingshen sect fell down, completely peeling off Lin Feng's avenues one by one. Lin Feng's energy and blood were also completely weakened to the extreme. His 3 avenues were all destroyed by Jingshen section deprived directly. But his eyes were fixed on Yang Hao. You will regret this. You will regret this. He kept mumbling to himself, as if he was cursing and prophesying. Let me see what secrets you hide. When Yang Hao saw this scene, he ignored it and took Lin Feng into the Wei Tower very decisively. He was very curious about Lin Feng. In fact, Yang Hao had already vaguely guessed what protagonist Lin Feng had. Characteristics. After all, it's actually not that difficult to guess. There are only a few types of protagonists that come and go. After a little analysis of Lin Feng's growth trajectory, Yang Hao actually already knows Lin Feng's origin. If you are a reborn person, you should know many secrets of the future life. If my guess is correct, then Lin Feng is most likely to have gained the most among all the people I transformed. Yang Hao grinned. He was looking forward to Lin Feng being transformed by Wu Ya Pagoda. When Yang Hao seriously injured Lin Feng and took him into the Wu Ya Tower, strange phenomena appeared all over the Ziwei star. It was one scene after another that appeared on the sky. What is that? A vision of heaven and earth? Who initiated it? Huh? Why is this vision of heaven and earth a bit strange? Voices sounded. Now is the great age. The rare phenomena of heaven and earth in the past have become a normal sight with the arrival of the great age and the emergence of monsters in large numbers. Many practitioners are actually used to it. But now it's different. They looked at the scenes on the sky tower, their pupils shrank, and their faces gradually became shocked. However, the shock on the faces of some old monsters and living fossils that are powerful and have long lifespans gradually changes with the strange phenomena of heaven and earth, and they show a look of fear. How is this possible? Inside, buried is the avenue. Oh my God, are the Dark Ages about to sweep across the world again? No, absolutely not like this. Who is that? The faces of these old monsters and living fossils are getting paler and paler, and scenes of past memories appear in their minds like a fleeting glance. The scene in the picture. It really frightens them. This scene suddenly appeared in the sky around Weida's star. It's actually not complicated. That is the process of generating a vision. One after another, there are huge bronze coffins. One after another, ferocious and powerful dragons gradually appear in the picture. The most frightening thing was that the bronze coffin slowly opened, revealing a startling glimpse inside. All strong men can easily identify what is buried in the bronze coffin. Avenue. The breath of the avenue appeared unabashedly in the bronze coffin. Ordinary and weak practitioners only feel that it is extremely majestic and spectacular. But those extremely powerful people started to panic. They knew very well that someone was creating a vision of heaven and earth. But the visions of heaven and earth are precisely the manifestation of the will of heaven and earth. Deo Deo was buried in the bronze coffin. This scene made them shiver in their hearts. They were reminded of the Dark Ages. The destroyer appears again. Who is it? Who can it be? We must not let the Dark Age return and bury the avenue, unless we all perish. The voices of extremely powerful men resounded loudly. In the picture above the sky, there is no indication of who is creating this vision of heaven and earth. But the scene of the buried avenue evoked the most terrifying memory in their hearts. Of course, not everyone recognized it. Isn't this the 9-dragon coffin made by Emperor Zun? In the past, I witnessed this strange phenomenon of heaven and earth flying into the ancient road of the starry sky outside Wandeo Pavilion. Unexpectedly, the coffin in this vision of heaven and earth actually buries the great Deo. OMG! Emperor Zun is the destroyer of worlds. In the holy land of Yin and Yang, at this moment, there was a strong man from the extreme realm who made a shocking voice. This man had witnessed the strange phenomenon of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin outside the Wandeo Pavilion, and even participated in the ambush and killing of Yang Hao. Therefore, he could be recognized almost at a glance. What a scene it was to see the picture appear on the sky. Not only him, but more people who were outside Wandeo Pavilion at that time recognized the origin and had a similar reaction to this powerful man from the Yin and Yang Holy Land. In many cases, when people began to gradually recognize the origin. At this moment, the scene in the sky gradually shifted from the vision of heaven and earth with the 9 dragons pulling the coffin to the figure of the person who created this vision of heaven and earth. Suddenly, Yang Hao's handsome face appeared in everyone's sight. The evil intention outlined in the corner of his mouth made Yang Hao look extremely evil. Emperor Zun. Emperor Zun is the destroyer of worlds. How could it be Emperor Zun? OMG. If it is Emperor Zun, then everything is explained clearly. Indeed, his growth trajectory is so similar to that of Qing Emperor. Who would have thought that Emperor Zun would be the destroyer of worlds? Shocking sounds sounded. Not only the powerful Ji-Dao people outside Wandao Pavilion back then, but also many powerful Ji-Dao people now were truly speechless and shocked. They recognized Yang Hao? There is no way, with Yang Hao's current reputation that is famous all over the world, it would be strange if someone didn't recognize Yang Hao. Because of this, the whole world is in an uproar. You know, Yang Hao is the main star of their Zhiwei star. But who could have thought that Yang Hao would harbor evil intentions and want to bury the Great Road and cut off the path forward for practitioners all over the world? The outside world began to boil. There are even many figures heading towards the Holy Land of Eternal Life. Yang Hao, of course, had no idea about all this. He is still in the Jingshen sect on Void Island, waiting for the terrible void storm in the outside world to pass. About there. Yang Hao didn't dare to wait too long. He also wanted to capture the whale. With the help of the Jingshen sect, he deprived Lin Feng of his 3 avenues, which should be extremely tempting for the whale. Therefore, waiting until the void when the storm gradually dissipated, he walked out of the Jingshen gate. Pity. According to Tianji Shu and Wenwan, only the Tianlan divine flower can attract all kinds of whales to come closer. Although the avenue is more attractive than the Tianlan divine flower, it is colorless and invisible. It cannot exude the incomparable fragrance like the Tianlan divine flower and attract all creatures. Put it in front of Wuzudao will definitely be attracted by Wuzudao. But if the whale is far away, it is necessary to find the whale first. Otherwise, leave the Void Island first, look for the Tianlan divine flower, and then enter the Void Island. Yang Hao thought. Before, Lin Feng's Tianlan divine flower was swallowed up by the whale of all things. Even he couldn't carry such a divine object with him. But soon, Yang Hao gave up this idea and waited until he walked out Void Island returns again. All whales have already left. Some trouble. Let's try our luck on Void Island first. Yang Hao has a headache. If the whale of all things is so easy to capture, it will not be marked as extremely rare by the Eternal Emperor and extremely difficult to capture. Being able to suppress Lin Feng during this trip is already an unexpected gain. But Yang Hao is not satisfied. The hidden danger of the prehistoric killing array has not yet been solved, and the whale of all things must be captured. While thinking, Yang Hao wandered aimlessly in the Void Island. With the great luck he was born with, the probability of encountering the whale of all things again will not be too small. It's a pity that Yang Hao searched all the way and did not find the shadow of the whale of all things. Instead, he encountered many void creatures and void storms. During the exile in the void, the avenue he sensed also gradually changed due to the change of region. Transformation. However, he also gained a lot of divine items that are extremely precious even for the Saint Realm, and he lived up to his great luck. 2 days passed like this. Could it be that we really have no chance? Yang Hao has also met other powerful people in the Void Island in the past 2 days, but he still found no trace of any whale. Just when he was helpless, suddenly there was a warning sign in his heart. The destiny he had always opened in the eyes of God, blood-red threads of destiny suddenly appeared in all directions. A great terror is coming. Yang Hao's scalp was numb, and he instinctively sensed the danger. Sure enough. The next minute, a terrifying aura appeared. Please download the novel without underlining. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I took away the villain's son. Author, the great Onmyoji. Chapter 268. Haha, it is indeed the law of fate. It's really rare that there are people who can condense the crystal of destiny. A very calm voice came. Then, a huge and strange figure appeared in front of Yang Hao's eyes. This figure was almost transparent, and exuded the aura that a void creature should have. It had a strange shape, many sharp claws on its body, and a face. The whole department is even more ferocious. Earned 1.25 billion points for discovering the Void Emperor. Emperor of the Void? When Yang Hao saw this figure, he finally understood the source of the large number of blood-red threads seen in the eyes of the God of Destiny. It turned out to be the Void Emperor who appeared in front of him. Oh no! When he saw the Void Emperor, Yang Hao's face darkened. He entered the Void Island and naturally had sufficient understanding of the Void Island. There are no aliens on the Void Island. Some are all kinds of void creatures, the most terrifying ones. The creature is this Emperor of the Void. His strength is comparable to that of the quasi-emperor of the human race, reaching at least the seventh heaven realm. There are even legends that there is a Void Emperor on Void Island who surpasses the quasi-emperor. But except for the great Emperor, I am afraid no one knows the truth. Because if you have really seen the existence of the Void Emperor, he has already fallen. Such terrifying creatures have always been entrenched in the deepest part of the Void Island. They will not get out easily. Why does a Void Emperor appear outside Void Island? Yang Hao frowned slightly. He felt that this matter was not as simple as imagined. He naturally heard the words of this Void Emperor and knew that the other party might have come because of his destiny. But he has been looking for it outside the Void Island. All things whales. After all, there are various terrifying creatures in the Void Island, and they should also covet all things whales. Legendary creatures such as all things whales, which are favored by the road, will not seek death and go to the depths of the Void Island. Because of this, Yang Hao felt extremely strange when he saw Emperor Void appearing here. Let's go first. The thought is just a thought. Yang Hao has no idea of fighting with this Void Emperor. In the Void Island, the Void Emperor's advantage is too great. The opponent can easily adapt to the various environments of the Void Island, and can use the help of exiled Void uses all kinds of terrifying magical powers. But he will be suppressed by exiled Void, and his strength will be less than half. Not to mention the environmental impact of Void Island. Even in the outside world, fighting with a quasi-emperor from the seventh heaven, unless he possesses the extremely lethal G-Dao Emperor soldiers, Yang Hao has no absolute certainty that he can suppress the opponent. Therefore, Yang Hao is too lazy to fight with the Void Emperor, but leaves decisively. Where to escape? Void Emperor Jiji's strange smile came. His figure floated over, chasing Yang Hao. In his eyes, Yang Hao was his most delicious food. Hunting Yang Hao would not waste his time walking out in person. Deep in the Void Island. Snort. Yang Hao snorted coldly when he heard this. He purged the avenue. At this moment, the avenue of destruction and the avenue of reincarnation were just ready to be used. At the same time, Huangquan Road and Jingshen Gate also flew out directly, suppressing the Emperor of the Void. Yang Hao did not dare to escape directly into Jingshen Gate. Inside, it would be troublesome if the opponent defended it. But using Jingshenmen to resist the opponent's killing attacks is just enough. Trivial skills. It's better to stop and be eaten by me. Void Emperor GG said with a strange smile. Yang Hao's strength is not as good as him. He has already seen it. Coupled with the delicious aura of destiny on the other party, the Void Emperor is extremely coveted. Boom. The Void shook. In the blink of an eye, the great road created by Yang Hao was instantly annihilated by Emperor Kong. Only Huangquan Road and Jingshen stopped him and hindered him. Trouble. The Emperor of the Void did not expect that Yang Hao would have the ultimate Emperor's weapons. At this moment, the weird face kept fluctuating, stirring up a stream of void breath, trying to suppress the Jingshen sect. Oh no! Yang Hao, who was galloping ahead, was not happy because the Emperor of the Void was temporarily blocked by the Jingshenmen. Instead, his expression suddenly changed. In front of him, he once again saw dense blood-red divine threads. They were everywhere. Something is definitely wrong. Yang Hao's face darkened. He did not expect that. He had been very cautious when entering the Void Island this time and was still in danger. However, Yang Hao was not in a hurry or lost his composure. This is a dangerous place, not a place of chance. The 10 most dangerous places. In a dangerous place like this, even if the Emperor enters, he may be in danger. He is just a quasi-sage, and it is normal to encounter danger. Not only did Yang Hao not panic, but he became a little excited inside. His whole body was trembling. That was trembling with excitement. He actually enjoyed the state of wandering between life and death. Yang Hao's thoughts were constantly intertwined and calculated. The omniscience and omnipotence that only a saint can display was instantly displayed by him. The destiny in his eyes, the grey aura, is also escaping crazily. There. When Yang Hao was about to resist the blood-red threads of destiny, a smile suddenly appeared on the corner of his mouth. He had gradually understood what he had encountered. But more importantly, he had found a way out. One thought, omniscience and omnipotence, if used properly, can be of great use. Yang Hao took a deep breath and ran frantically on the Void Island at top speed. Originally, under his eyes of destiny, there were blood-red threads of destiny everywhere. This meant that except for the Emperor of the Void who was chasing behind him, no matter who he was, flying in that direction, every step is a murderous one, between life and death. But when Yang Hao stirred up a thought of omniscience and omnipotence, and deduced crazily with an extremely calm state of mind, a magical line appeared among the blood-red lines of destiny. The light green line of destiny. Green, in destiny, represents vitality. It was precisely because Yang Hao inspired omniscience and omnipotence for a year and deduced that vitality was discovered. This changed destiny. Destiny is really mysterious. Yang Hao sighed while heading towards the place in front of him that contained the green divine thread. There was a void storm. Not only that, in this void storm, almost all the aura of the avenue was blocked. No matter how you look, the void storm in front of us is a dangerous place with no life or death. In all directions, besides this void storm, there are many realms where we can fly. No matter how we choose, normal people will not choose to enter this void storm. Damn it! How could he go there? That's interesting. You must have noticed the two of us. He is worthy of being the leading star of this era, and his sense of danger is truly astonishing. Seeing Yang Hao flying into the void storm, two figures in the darkness couldn't help but frown. Them. I'm guarding Yang Hao? In fact, when Yang Hao walked out of Jingshen Gate, he was stared at by these two figures. However, they did not immediately go out and ambush Yang Hao. Instead, they used special methods to attract the terrifying Emperor of the Void and laid a dragnet here. If there are no accidents, wherever Yang Hao flew at will, he would fall into the trap set by the two men. But it is a pity that Yang Hao did not go as they wished. Instead, he was alertly aware of the crisis and dived into the seemingly more dangerous void storm on the side. It doesn't matter, let's catch up. If the Void Emperor is here and enters the void storm, he will be caught in the Void Emperor's trap. One of the figures said calmly. The other person nodded and said, indeed, there is no rush. We continue to lie dormant, and once he is seriously injured, we will kill him first from the Void Emperor. Ken. The two of them just said a few words and finished all the distribution. In their opinion, it was impossible for Yang Hao to escape the murderous plot they laid out. Why struggle? Delicious food. The Emperor of the Void, who was blocked by Jingshen sect, also saw Yang Hao entering the void storm at this moment, and couldn't help but laugh out loud. He waved his claws, and terrifying void power appeared in his hands. In an instant, Yang Hao entered the void storm, feeling that the void storm had become extremely terrifying, no less severe than the void storm he had encountered before. What is the chance of survival? Yang Hao's expression remained unchanged. He allowed his body to be shattered into pieces, and then crazily repaired by the immortal material. Around him, defensive weapons emerged from him as if they were free, and then were blown away by the void storm. Fragmented. Yang Hao didn't panic at all. Instead, he was guessing where his life would be. One thought was omniscient and omnipotent, so he could only deduce a rough idea. He only combined one thought, omniscience and omnipotence, with the eye of destiny, but he couldn't see what would happen next. In the future, it is naturally impossible to know. However, as he traveled through the void storm, his frown became deeper and deeper. The Void Emperor had already chased into the void storm, and was at home in the void storm. The Jingshenman hindered the opponent's steps more and more. It's getting slower and slower. The distance between the two is getting bigger and bigger. It's only a matter of time before they are caught and suppressed by the Emperor of the Void. This makes Yang Hao even feel a little shaken in his heart. Did he miscalculate something? But how tough is his heart? In an instant, Yang Hao immediately abandoned his wavering heart. Can't go wrong. Life is just ahead. Yang Hao was extremely confident in himself, and he once again tried his best to fly high. Finally found the owner. Not long after this incident, a familiar voice and an incredible scene came to Yang Hao's ears. Let's go with the little girl. I took away the villain's son. Author, the great Onmyoji. Chapter 269. Yang Hao naturally recognized the little girl's voice. However, Yang Hao never expected that the glimmer of hope observed by his destiny eye would come from the little girl. This made him feel amazing. Especially when he saw the little girl appearing in front of him, his heart was extremely shocked. All things well. Yang Hao's eyes were a little shocked. He didn't expect that the whale of all things that he was searching for would appear again. And it would actually appear in front of him in this form. The little girl and Suqing, who turned into a human form, is currently sitting on top of the whale of all things. How is this going? Yang Hao squinted his eyes and looked at this scene, feeling extremely absurd. He could clearly sense that the whale of all things had not been refined, but appeared in front of him directly like a mount, being ridden by the little girl. Yang Hao could even see that Wanwu whale was slightly shaken when it saw him. It was obvious that he recognized him and wanted to turn around and run away. Little Yu, you are not allowed to leave. We need to take the owner out of here now. The sound of little girl's milking came to my ears. Then, this whale of all things actually hovered in front of Yang Hao, and it seemed that he really listened to little girl's words. Master, come quickly. That ugly guy seems to be attacking you. Little Nanan's voice came again. She smiled and pointed at the Void Emperor behind Yang Hao. At this moment, the Void Emperor was getting closer and closer to Yang Hao, and she was about to catch him. Kindness. Yang Hao didn't care to think any more, and he went directly towards the little girl's place. Until Yang Hao sat on the whale, the whale began to swim at high speed, and when he left this exiled void, Yang Hao still couldn't recover. God is coming. Even in the exile of the void, the speed of the whale of all things was still not affected, swimming extremely fast. Almost in the blink of an eye, it completely got rid of the Void Emperor and the two dark figures. The Void Emperor was nothing more than that, but after groaning for a while, he disappeared without a trace and returned to the depths of the void. Hateful. His luck was so good that he could still get away with this. One of the figures in the darkness said in an extremely unwilling tone. Emperor Leng, be calm. If you don't have luck, you can only become the main star of the avenue. He is in the light, we are in the dark, and there are still plenty of opportunities to kill him. The other figure had a calm mind and said nothing particularly strange. That's all I can do, Try harder next time. Lengde said harshly. This time he failed, which made him feel very uncomfortable. Suqing, what's going on? Yang Hao, who was riding on the whale at this moment, heard Suqing directly. Compared with the little girl who was a little confused, Suqing was obviously much more rational. When she heard Yang Hao's question, she immediately said with a wry smile, Master, I'm just as confused as you now. What is the origin of little Nanan is really amazing. She began to slowly bring the little girl all the way until Yang Hao was informed of all the actions in the Void Island. I see. Yang Hao's eyes flickered and he was speechless. If Suqing hadn't been absolutely loyal to him, he would have even felt that Suqing was cheating on him. Because it was too bizarre. Before entering Void Island, he didn't say much. According to Suqing, after the little girl entered the Void Island, banishing the void could not cover the fluctuations of the little girl's avenue. And the little girl can even prevent Suqing from being affected by the exile to the void. Yang Hao's eyes flickered and he looked at the smiling little girl. Suqing also informed the little girl about the control of the space avenue. This made him realize that he had underestimated this cute little guy before. In her cute appearance it was a completely terrifying combat power. Yang Hao even suspected that this little guy had the same quasi-emperor combat power as himself. However, he put all these aside for the time being. What really shocked Yang Hao was. He looked at the whale beneath him. This whale ran away when it saw people. According to Suqing, the moment he saw the little girl, he was like a puppy that had been away from home for a long time. Met the owner. Even before the two of them had fully seen the whale had already appeared in front of the little girl with great urgency. Next, it was a matter of course. After the little girl discovered the whale, even Suqing stopped riding, and directly took Suqing with him to ride around on the Void Island on the whale of all things. Originally, Xiao Yu was ready to leave here. But she said she had met the master, so the little girl asked her to take the little girl to find the master. Fortunately, I saw the master in time, otherwise the master would have been beaten by the two bad guys and the ugly guy. At this time, the little girl immediately said proudly to Yang Hao like a show-off. The little girl is amazing. When Yang Hao heard this, he praised the little girl with a smile. If he had known that the little girl was so magical, even all whales would get very close to her when they saw her, why would he bother so much? But then Yang Hao just shook his head. Who would have thought? Even if the emperor was still alive, he would never have thought that a legendary creature like the whale would be close to a little girl. Little girl, I want to refine the whale of all things. Yang Hao thought for a while and said directly to the little girl without covering up. Since the whale of all whales has appeared in front of him, there is no reason to let him go. He needs to use the whale of all whales to stabilize the prehistoric killing array. Hiss. Hearing Yang Hao's words, the all-world whale beneath him immediately trembled, as if a little frightened. Obviously, although this all-world whale is only a larvae, with the wisdom of the all-world whale, he can naturally understand the meaning of Yang Hao's words. She wanted to. She immediately let out a slight neigh, as if she was asking for help. Ah! Master, why do you want to refine the little fish? She is very well behaved. Can you not refine her? The little girl seemed to be able to understand the words of Wanwu whale, and immediately said coquettishly to Yang Hao. The master's killing array was damaged and she needs to be healed. The whale of all things is very rare, and even if the owner doesn't attack her, she will be suppressed by others. Yang Hao smiled and explained to the little girl. That's it? That little fish, please refine it for your master. Being refined by others is definitely not as good as being refined by the master. When the little girl heard the words, she showed a look of surprise, and then immediately said to Wan Wujing seriously. Hearing the little girl's words, Yang Hao couldn't laugh or cry. He knew that the little girl must be biased towards him, but he didn't expect that this little guy would be like this. Decisively, he sold Wan whale. Sure enough. Hiss hiss. All whales immediately made an extremely aggrieved sound. Oh. Owner. The whale of all things said that she can directly enter your killing array without refining her. She also doesn't want to be chased all the time. If she is comfortable in your killing array, master, there will be no problem. Yang Hao was also stunned when he heard what the little girl said. Can. Then enter my killing array first. Yang Hao said without thinking. The whale is obviously an honest fish, and it would be a good thing if he could be tricked into his killing array first. Of course. Yang Hao will not really let down his guard. Wait until the wagon whale after entering the prehistoric killing array, he will naturally find an opportunity to refine this whale of all things or use the weight tower to cross it. Only in this way can he rest assured. Hiss. After hearing this, Wan whale immediately spoke out again. Hi. Master, she agreed. Little Nanan hugged Yang Hao's arm and said with a smile. That is naturally the best. Come in. Yang Hao smiled. He launched the prehistoric killing formation, and an aura exuding huge vitality suddenly appeared. The whale under him hesitated for a while, and its huge body gradually shrank, and then directly entered the prehistoric killing formation. Yang Hao put Wan whale into the great desolate killing array so easily. In addition to Wan whale's docile character, it was naturally because he trusted the little girl. The moment Wan whale entered, a stream of vitality came from the prehistoric killing array. Hiss. Hiss. In the prehistoric killing formation, the whale of all things was swimming happily in Yang Hao's killing formation. As the whale of all things screamed and fell, Yang Hao could clearly sense that the body of the golden horned emperor that he had forcibly refined before was the riots in the prehistoric killing array began to calm down. As long as the whale of all things is in my body, it is only a matter of time before the killing array is restored. Yang Hao was very satisfied. He directly took out the 3 avenues stripped from Lin Feng from the Jingshen sect. Although he had conquered all whales, the avenues stripped away could not be inherited, otherwise the saint could mass produce them. He simply removed the 3 avenues. All given to all whales. Hiss. The whale suddenly saw 3 ownerless avenues appearing in the great desolate killing formation, and was extremely excited. It suddenly felt that entering Yang Hao's great desolate killing formation, although it was a little smaller, it didn't seem too bad. Master, she seems very happy. What are we going to do next? Are we leaving here? The little girl immediately relayed to Yang Hao. Leave. Not urgent. The host will take you to have fun. When Yang Hao heard this, he gradually put away the prehistoric killing array. He was not in a hurry to leave, but murderous intent burst out in his eyes. Please download the ununderlined version of the novel. I took away the villain's son. Author, the great Onmyoji. Chapter 270. Whether it was Yang Hao's own calculations and experiences before or the words of the little girl just now, a key message was revealed. In addition to the Emperor of the Void just now, there were other Oriole behind. With Yang Hao's character, he would not be willing to leave just like that. A cold light surged in his eyes, and thoughts began to collide and intertwine in his mind, making crazy deductions. Little girl, can you suppress this banishment to the void? The thoughts in Yang Hao's mind gradually took shape. He looked at the little girl and asked with a smile. Here? Sure. But master, you are very powerful. You can't just get rid of the annoying aura like Xiao Qing Qing. As long as you hold the little girl in your arms, the breath of the exiled void will not be able to get close to you. When the little girl heard this, she immediately said with a smile. Yeah. That's just right. Let's go beat up the bad guys. When Yang Hao heard this, his eyes flashed. Then, he hugged Xionanan, a pretty little Lolita, in his arms. Sure enough, Xionanan did not lie to him. When Yang Hao hugged little Nanan in his arms, the moment he held him in his arms, gleams of light flashed in his eyes. After hugging the little girl, he could easily sense the aura of the avenue that had been almost blocked by the exile in the void. As long as he held the little girl, his strength in the void island be able to exert full combat power. The origin of the little girl is beyond my imagination. Yang Hao secretly sighed. He had always ignored the treasure that was his little girl. When Suqing saw this, he immediately turned into a phoenix and said to Yang Hao, "Master, where are we going next?" "Haha, go there." Yang Hao pointed. It was the road they came from just now. Suqing didn't ask any questions and immediately let Yang Hao ride her towards the place where Yang Hao guided her. Yang Hao naturally couldn't deduce the opponent's detailed information. But this does not mean that Yang Hao has no way to find them. The speed of the whale of all things just shuttled through the exiled void was too fast. Their location at this time must be far beyond the people who plotted against him before. Now almost all the powerful people who enter the void island come for the whale. If the other party fails to plot against them and sees the whale leave, they will definitely choose to leave the void island. Then they will naturally go in the direction of leaving the island. Yang Hao had just remembered the way along the way. If he wanted to leave Void Island, there was at least one must-pass path along this route. If he did not choose this must-pass path, he would have to travel through the terrifying void. Storm Zone. You don't need to think too much, and you know that the opponent will definitely not think that he will ambush you on Void Island. Naturally, he will not choose to take the risk of traveling through the Void Storm Zone and leaving Void Island. I've been ambushed these days. Now, it's my turn to try it out. Yang Hao took Suqing and soon came to the only road. A gloomy smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and then his eyes were like swords, and he began to lay out the divine arrays on the only road. The plate was dropped by him. All kinds of sinister magic weapons and treasures were also placed by Yang Hao like water. Suqing, who was under Yang Hao, turned pale when she saw this scene. If she passed by here rashly, she would probably be on the spot falling. There is no suspense at all. All right. Wait for your visit. Yang Hao moved very quickly. It didn't take much time to arrange everything properly. His eyes were cold, looking at the only way to fly to the Void Island. Even if he is the supreme genius, he dares to plot against himself today. He also wants to keep the other party here. Haha. I'm really looking forward to the appearance of the two bad guys. At this time, the little girl shook her arms again and said with some expectation. Yang Hao smiled and said nothing, waiting quietly. Senior Brother Chong, what should we do next? At this time, Emperor Leng and another figure were flying in the void of exile. Spread the news that he has obtained the whale of all things to the world. Although he is very evil, he is domineering and has made enemies all over the world. There should be many people interested in him. At that time, we can just sit back and reap the benefits. Emperor Chong smiled lightly and made the arrangement easily. The two brothers and sisters came from other big stars to the ancient starry sky road. The purpose was to suppress Yang Hao and get his luck in the emperor's list so that they could prove the path in the future. When it is turned on, he can go further. Naturally, he has already investigated Yang Hao in great detail. As soon as he thinks about it, he will make one plan after another against Yang Hao. Ken. I heard that the three holy places of Yin and Yang, creation and universe of Zai Star are all hostile to the holy land of eternal life. If you and I can join forces and loot the holy land of eternal life, it will be an additional benefit. Leng Di also smiled and added. Good idea. A big force should have a lot of powerful foundations, just in time to provide assistance to my two brothers and sisters on their path to witnessing. Emperor Chong nodded and agreed with Emperor Leng's idea. The star they were in was ranked ahead of Zai Star in terms of strength, and there was even a great emperor sitting in charge. Naturally, he didn't care about the power of Zai Star. Compared to after a detailed study of Yang Hao, the two of them only made a rough investigation of these big forces. For these two quasi-emperors, their strength is completely enough to run rampant in Zhiwei Star without the emperor, and their hearts are naturally, there was a sense of superiority. The two of them were not flying very fast in the Void Island. Finally, after a few hours, they came to the only road where Yang Hao was. Something is wrong. But at this moment, Emperor Leng frowned slightly as he was about to embark on that inevitable road. Of course something is wrong. This is one of the top 10 most dangerous places for a big star. In theory, it is even scarier than the 10,000 cloud star Lianshan of my Rax Hasa star. It would be unreasonable if there were no strange things. This is just a peripheral place. Even if there are weird things, there won't be any terrible dangers. Just be careful and it shouldn't be a big deal, so let's go. The wise Emperor Chong said calmly to Emperor Leng. The two of them never thought that someone would ambush their two extremely powerful quasi-emperors on Void Island. They also didn't think that Yang Hao had the courage to stay here. So, when people step onto this inevitable road, everything in front of them changes. The 18th level of Underworld. 10,000 Refining God Fire Array. Destiny Reincarnation Array. When Yang Hao saw the two of them stepping into it, he couldn't help but sneer. The many divine formations he arranged were very terrifying. Many of them were deduced by Yunyan in his free time after experiencing them personally. Although there may be some differences from the original version. But now, as the Holy Lord of the Eternal Holy Land, Yang Hao is most indispensable for all kinds of divine materials. These buried divine formations exploded instantly. Layer after layer of divine formations. Completely submerging Emperor Leng and Emperor Chong in an instant. At the same time, all kinds of divine weapons emit monstrous divine light. These extremely precious weapons exploded in the next moment. Boom! More than 100 G-Dao divine weapons were directly detonated by Yang Hao without any hesitation. The Jingshenmen came out of the sky, devouring Emperor Leng and the Emperor. Not good. Who dares to ambush us? Almost instantly, the expressions of Emperor Leng and Emperor Chong changed drastically. The two of them instantly burst out with terrifying strength. Quasi-Emperor Fourth Heaven. Yang Hao has fought against many quasi-emperors. With just a quick glance, he can roughly judge the strength of the two of them. In terms of strength, these two people can be said to be the most powerful existences among all the enemies he has encountered. But, so what? It took almost just an instant. Emperor Leng and Emperor Chong were seriously injured in an instant. The moment the Jingshen sect appeared, Emperor Leng was swallowed up and disappeared. Damn it! This is Yang Hao's ultimate imperial weapon. How is it possible? How dare he ambush and kill us? When Emperor Chong saw this scene, streaks of sweat broke out on his pale face. The moment he saw the Jingshen sect, he recognized it. It was Yang Hao who ambushed them. He is just a quasi-sage, how dare he? Kongdi couldn't believe it at all. But at this moment, he remembered the information about his investigation of Yang Hao. Defects must be reported, and revenge does not take overnight. If he can kill people today, he will not wait until the next day. He is extremely tyrannical. One piece of information about Yang Hao echoed in Emperor Chong's mind. When he realized, Yang Hao really dared. Oh! Is that the Jidao imperial soldier? At this moment, Yang Hao was also looking at Emperor Chong calmly despite the many murderous intentions he had arranged. Emperor Leng who was traveling with him was instantly swallowed by Jingshen sect, but the biggest reason why Emperor Chong was not swallowed by Jingshen sect was that the other party was also carrying the Ji-Dao Emperor's soldiers. From this point alone, the other party does have reasons to be proud. I don't have any luck with Crepe Myrtle. It should be a powerful person from the imperial list who came across the ancient road across the starry sky. If nothing else, his ultimate imperial weapon should belong to him. When Yang Hao thought of this, his heart suddenly jumped. What does that mean? It goes without saying. If the opponent's Jidao imperial soldier belongs to him, that means he can plunder it directly. No more worrying about the Jidao emperor soldiers flying away. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I took away the villain's son. Author, the great Onmyoji. Chapter 271. Thinking of this, Yang Hao's heart skipped a beat. The Jidao Emperor weapons are the Jidao weapons left behind by the great emperor. They are so rare. All the Jidao imperial soldiers that appear now are the foundation of their birth over countless years. In the Ziwei Star, almost every piece of Jidao emperor weapon, even if it is a foreign emperor weapon, is owned by an owner and cannot be plundered at all. The vast majority of people who hold Jidao imperial arms are borrowing them. Once the borrower dies, the Jidao imperial soldier will fly away on its own. Even if you deliberately control it and want to keep it, it will be useless. Unless the Jidao imperial soldiers who have the great emperor's mark are also the great emperor and one party is much stronger than them, the Jidao imperial soldiers will want to escape all the time. Even if it is suppressed, it will take endless effort and cost. Even the quasi-emperor will not pay the price. Therefore, the Jidao emperor's soldiers have always been the most powerful foundation for all major forces. The more Jidao emperor soldiers you have, the stronger your strength will be. Although the strength is among the quasi-emperors, he is not very powerful, but he has great luck. He is worthy of being the supreme genius on the emperor's list. Yang Hao couldn't help but sneer as he watched the terrifying stars unfolding around the besieged Emperor Chang, completely annihilating the many powerful killings he had planted. Emperor Chang's strength has reached the 4th level of quasi-emperor. Although he has already, it is the strongest enemy he has ever encountered, but in the quasi-emperor realm, there are still many powerful beings that can suppress him. But the other party has the ultimate emperor's weapons, which is really unexpected. Those terrifying stars are all originating from a divine bead in front of Emperor Chang that continuously cleanses out the aura of the stars. While this divine bead is cleaning out the aura of the stars, the imperial aura also escapes. There is no doubt that as the emperor who also possesses the Jidao Yang Hao, a soldier, almost the moment he saw the divine bead, he was sure that the divine bead was a supreme emperor weapon. Kill him, or convert him. Although the opponent also has the Jidao Emperor's soldiers and cannot kill Emperor Chang in a short time. But Yang Hao is absolutely sure of suppressing Emperor Chang. Emperor Chang would never have imagined that before he was completely suppressed by Yang Hao had already I'm thinking about how to deal with him. The Jidao Emperor weapon belongs to Emperor Chang. Killing him can directly erase his mark on this Divine Pearl Emperor weapon. I can use this Jidao Emperor weapon instantly. By keeping him and transforming him, I can also get this Jidao Emperor weapon and the combat power of a quasi-emperor. But it takes time to wait. Trapped, much harder than beheading. The most important thing is, I am afraid that the divine light is no longer enough to transform this person. When Yang Hao thought of this, he actually made a decision in his heart, and he sighed. In his Wei Tower, Lin Feng and the silver-horned alien quasi-emperor were both transformed at the same time. The other companion of the man in front of him just now was quasi-emperor. The emperor has also been suppressed by him. As expected, he also needs to be transformed. Yang Hao glanced at the transforming divine light in Wei Tower, and after a rough calculation, he knew that the remaining transforming divine light was completely insufficient. In order to transform the person in front of me. That's all. A mere 4th level quasi-emperor will definitely be able to meet more powerful people in the future. Yang Hao sighed. He knew that after returning from this trip to evolve his prehistoric killing array into a small world, no matter whether the soul of the eternal emperor thought of a way or not, he would need to find a way by himself to replenish the divine light of transformation. Damn it! It is better to rely on oneself than others. Yang Hao will never put his hope on others. It can only be said that you are out of luck. Yang Hao looked at Emperor Chang in front of him. Fighting intent burst out in his eyes, and he strode straight into the many murderous plans he had arranged. Prehistoric killing formation. Reincarnation of fate. Hell. Yang Hao entered it and used powerful magic weapons such as Huangquan Road, Jingshen Gate, and Wei Tower. He used all his methods to directly fight to the death with Emperor Chang. Although Emperor Chang in front of him was very powerful, he could only resist despite Yang Hao's many arrangements, and he was thinking about how to escape from this place. But he didn't expect that Yang Hao would rush in directly. 6 complete avenues were crazily entangled around Yang Hao, and various incomparable and mysterious methods made Yang Hao extremely powerful. Damn it! Why can he cast so many Tao in Exile Void? Even so, he only has the combat power of the second level of the Emperor at most. He would be attacked, killed, and suppressed by such a junior. This time, I was really too careless. Emperor Chang has been practicing for more than 100,000 years, and with the Emperor's soldiers at his side, he is on his own big star, relying on his own great power. He can be said to be domineering, and he has not encountered any setbacks in a long time. But now, he was frustrated to the extreme. In Exile of the Void, although he possesses the strength of the Quasi-Emperor at the 4th level, at most he can only exert the combat power of the Quasi-Emperor at the 1st level. To know. Once you reach the Quasi-Emperor level, it is extremely difficult to advance. The Quasi-Emperor is in the 1st level, able to overwhelm 10 sages. Then the Quasi-Emperor of the 2nd level can suppress at least 50 sages. Every time one crosses the sky, it is a world. One can imagine how uncomfortable Emperor Chang feels now. In Void Island, the restrictions he faced were too great. There is no way, the core combat power of the Quasi-Emperor is still to control the avenue to kill. As for the world, non-existent. He is not a practitioner of Zaiwei Star. His cultivation system is very different, and he does not know the laws of the world. What Emperor Chang was better at was powerful martial arts and Taoism. But these all need the support of the avenue. This is also the reason why the two of them did not attack Yang Hao directly. In the outside world, there is concern that the fate of the Zaiwei Star conceived in Yang Hao will bring changes. On Void Island, external forces are also needed. And now, he was ambushed by Yang Hao. If it weren't for his astrology orb, he would have been suppressed like a quasi-emperor. Chaotic Ancient Qinglong Horoscope. The White Tiger Horoscope in the Middle Star. Tyrant Body Kylan Star. Give it to me, break it open. At this moment, Emperor Chang was suppressed and aggrieved. His physical body collapsed after being killed by Yang Hao, and his spiritual sea shook. Even the two avenues he could only control seemed to be shattered. Only countless waves surged around him. The divine weapons resisted. The most eye-catching one was his extreme Emperor weapon Star Orb, which evolved into a series of extremely powerful stars to resist Yang Hao's killing attacks. Even so, Emperor Chang still had no intention of fighting Yang Hao to the death. What he urgently needs now is to get out of here. When I leave this dangerous place, I will pay back all the humiliation I suffered today. Emperor Chang gritted his teeth. As long as he could escape today, he vowed that he would not let Yang Hao go. Coming from afar is not easy either. Just stay at Zaiwei Star. Yang Hao sneered again and again. He naturally saw Emperor Chang's thoughts. But he still kept beating the stars one after another in his hands. Indeed. Although his current strength is terrifying, he is only a quasi-sage after all, and he will still not be a quasi-sage. A quasi-emperor 4th level opponent. But now that he occupies the advantageous location, what if the opponent has G-Dao Emperor soldiers? Every star attack has been resolved by him with Wei Tower and Jingshen sect. Yang Hao has already felt it. Emperor Chang is weak. Killing him is only a matter of time. He can only lead to death. Ignorant young man, do you really think that you can keep me here with just a small trick? Today's shame will be borne in mind by this emperor. Burst. Emperor Chang's eyes were fierce. Seeing that the astrological orb could not do anything to Yang Hao, he actually chose to suddenly trigger the avenue. Yang Hao saw Emperor Chang's purpose at a glance. He is so courageous that he dares to escape into the world of Dao in the void of exile. Who gave you the courage? Your Ji-Dao Emperor weapon. When Yang Hao saw this scene, he immediately sneered. There is no doubt that Emperor Chang chose to self-destruct the avenue at this moment. Not to mention that Emperor Chang would definitely be seriously injured. Just wanting to escape from the void into the world of the avenue would be extremely difficult. Take risks. This is the Void Island. Even the darling of the Dao, whale, escapes into the Void Island and dare not enter the Dao world. How dare Emperor Chang dare? There are too many horrors hidden here. If you want to enter the Dao world, you will definitely have a narrow escape. Emperor Chang, hearing this, his face was ferocious. He ignored it. Yang Hao was right. His courage to dare to blow himself up did indeed come from his Ji-Dao Emperor soldier. Although he still narrowly escaped death, if he stayed here, he would be killed by this vicious little devil. If the head is entangled, it means death and no life. He. Yang Hao couldn't help but smile when he saw Emperor Chang's figure suddenly becoming shallow and escaping towards the world of the avenue. Since he had laid a heavy siege, he had naturally planned everything. The prehistoric killing array. Yang Hao's eyes were cold, triggering the prehistoric killing array. Hiss. The whale of all things suddenly appeared. It suddenly fell down. In an instant, the extremely fragile avenue channel created by Emperor Chang's self-destruction of the avenue in this exiled void trembled instantly. Ah! Emperor Chang's screams resounded through the void. All whales shook the avenues, causing his already extremely fragile avenues to be completely shattered by the void. This was the avenue created by his self-destruction. Once it was shattered, it would have no impact on him. The damage was extremely severe. Fall. When Yang Hao saw this scene, his face was extremely cold and stern. The next moment, a rainbow penetrated the sun. The 6 avenues and the 3 supreme laws merged into the Huanquan Road, directly penetrating the spiritual sea of Emperor Chang. His ultimate emperor weapon, the star elephant god, the beads, also fell out of the broken avenue. As Yang Hao beheaded Emperor Chang, this piece of Ji-Dao emperor weapon did not fly away like other Ji-Dao emperor weapons as Yang Hao expected. _watch Please download the novel without underline. I took away the villain's son. Author, the great Onmyoji. Chapter 272. Finally, another Ji-Dao emperor weapon was obtained. Yang Hao's eyes flickered, and he looked at the Ji-Dao emperor's soldiers slowly floating in the void after he killed him. Joy surged in his heart. Although he had just suppressed Emperor Chang, he didn't seem to encounter any obstacles. In fact, this is not the case. If it were not for this Ji-Dao emperor's weapon, with the suppression of Emperor Chang by banishing the void, he would be able to suppress it very quickly, just like another quasi-emperor. Being able to persist under his encirclement and ambush such a long time is enough to explain the problem. Receive. Yang Hao surged through the avenue and restrained the astrological divine bead. Then, strands of spiritual power were pulled out, as if leading the suspended astrological divine bead into his spiritual sea. This piece of Ji-Dao Emperor the soldier did not tremble or resist. The fall of Emperor Chang completely annihilated all the marks on this supreme emperor weapon. Soon, the star god orb was controlled by Yang Hao. I don't know what magical uses this Ji-Dao emperor weapon has. Although Yang Hao fought against Emperor Chang who held the star god bead, he knew very well that the existence of the Ji-Dao emperor soldier needed to be understood deeply. The power it displayed was by no means as simple as it appeared. Ingest the Star God bead. He began to cultivate it in the sea of spiritual energy, and then instilled his own breath one by one to form a mark that belonged to him. In this way, he could control this Jideo imperial weapon in a short period of time. But he wanted to. It would take a lot of time to form his own mark like Emperor Chong did and make this Supreme Emperor weapon completely belong to him. The quasi-emperor who travels with him should know the effectiveness. I don't know if the remaining divine light can transform him. But it doesn't matter, just asking about the function of a Jideo emperor weapon doesn't require a certain transformation. You can still ask without transformation. Yang Hao's eyes were indifferent as he entered the Jingshen sect. Ah! Suddenly, a series of extremely miserable sounds resounded in the Jingshen sect. Then, the voices in the Jingshen sect gradually became weaker and weaker, but the pain doubled. There are really too many horrific punishments in the Jingshen section. Some punishments are no worse than the 1,000 years of silence he experienced back then. Even if Yang Hao saw it with his own eyes, he still felt extremely terrible and his scalp was numb. I said, I'll tell you everything. Rao is a quasi-emperor with a mind as tough as a rock. Under the pressure of Yang Hao, he quickly told everything he knew. I see. From the Rakshasa star. It's a pity that I lacked a bit of vision. Under the punishment, Yang Hao naturally would not just ask the quasi-emperor whether he knew the power of the star god orb. He also roughly knew the origins of the two quasi-emperors who attacked him. The astrology bead guides the stars to evolve all the phenomena in the sky, and contains 99 levels of invincible astrology. The condensed stars have endless magical effects. Advance to kill, retreat to defend, and escape. It is an almighty supreme emperor weapon. But omnipotence means mediocrity. Compared to the ultimate magic weapons such as the Great Desolate Sword and Dishan, it is naturally not as good as. Compared with special magic weapons such as Jingshenman and Wei Tower, they are a little less interesting. But moderation has the benefits of moderation. The defense is stronger than Wei Tower and Jingshenman, and it also has good killing ability. It's actually a pretty good divine weapon. Yang Hao nodded with satisfaction. This astrological bead has another biggest advantage. It is that the consumption is far less terrible than other poles. On ordinary days, the astrological bead can exert its power at night, and it can contain spiritual power. When used, it can greatly reduce the time consumption. It can be said to be very useful. According to the surging spiritual power, avenue, and astrological power, up to 99 astrological phenomena can be evolved. The higher the astrological weight, the more terrifying the power. For example, the Azure Dragon astrology evolved by Emperor Hao before was the 39th level astrology. The Kiran star is the 40th star. Of course, as the astrological weight increases, the price paid will also increase. Sure enough, every piece of Jideo imperial weapon is extremely complicated. Emperor Leng and Emperor Chong are brothers, and they are also ancient beings of the Rakshasa star. They came all the way for him this time, and that's all they know about this Jideo emperor weapon. As for the star god bead, there are still what a secret. I can only wait for Yang Hao to study it on his own in the future. Return to the holy land of eternal life, refine the body of the heavenly fire emperor, and prepare to evolve the small world and advance to the saint realm. When Yang Hao came to the South China Sea this time, he not only found the whale of all things, but also solved Lin Feng and obtained a Jideo emperor weapon. It was a full harvest and he was naturally in a great mood. He immediately planned to return to the holy land of eternal life and start evolving the small world. And as time passed, he also got a huge amount of points again this time. According to Yang Hao's estimation, when he evolved the small world, the immortal matter in his body would most likely be able to complete the transformation, allowing him to complete transformation of the immortal golden body, breaking away from the quasi-sage, and successfully promoted to the realm of a true saint. The little girl, Suqing, is gone. He hugged the little girl and said to Suqing, "Let's go." The little girl also cheered. This time she came to Nanhai and had a great time. She was not scolded by Yang Hao yet, and she was equally happy. Suqing naturally had no objections and immediately drove Yang Hao and the little girl towards the void. Flying outside the island. As a pure-blood phoenix, Suqing's footsteps are not slow at all. Many practitioners who have also entered Void Island have already gone deeper in order to find the whale of all things, and they did not encounter any practitioners along the way back. There is no cost. After too much time, Yang Hao and his party left Void Island. Call. Just after leaving Void Island, Yang Hao felt a lightness in his body. Mysterious luck blessed his body. After killing Emperor Chong, did you inherit his luck? Yang Hao's eyes flickered. He had experienced a similar situation. After he killed Emperor Chong, Emperor Chong's name was permanently missing from the Emperor list, and his ranking on the Emperor list once again advanced to 73. Name. I don't know what kind of benefits this position on the Emperor's list will bring after the road to certification is opened. Although there must be old monsters on the God list in the Holy Land of Eternal Life, Yang Hao is only in the quasi-sage realm now and has not deliberately asked about it. But as Yang Hao was successively attacked and killed by the Supreme Prodigy on the Emperor list, it made Yang Hao realize that the Emperor's list was no small matter, otherwise he would have suffered numerous attacks and killings in just a short period of time. Kill as many as you come. After a while, it stopped. Yang Hao sneered. He knew that the reason why he was attacked and killed by the Supreme Prodigy one after another was simply because his ranking on the Emperor list was too high, but his strength was not high. This made many people like Emperor Leng and Emperor Chong such a miscellaneous fish was tempted to step on him to get an opportunity. Unfortunately, he completely disappointed them all. Yang Hao also admitted that there is still a certain distance between his strength and these supreme geniuses. But when he waits after the evolution of the world is completed, after he is promoted to a saint, his combat power can reach at least the 4th level of the quasi-emperor, or even the 5th level. When that time comes, one comes, and he kills one. Look how many of these supreme geniuses there are. How dare you have the courage? Yang Hao made a determined decision and rode Suqing to return to the Holy Land of Eternal Life. Just when Yang Hao and his party came to an open place, and when Yang Hao was about to use the sky-breaking talisman to leave the South China Sea, suddenly Yang Hao raised his eyebrows. A divine light came from the void. Holy Lord Tiantong. This divine light is a message coming straight towards Yang Hao. Yang Hao just sensed it and already knew who sent the message. It turned out to be the Holy Master of Tiantong Holy Land. Return to the Holy Land of Eternal Life as soon as possible, otherwise disaster will befall you. The information was not long and concise. But the information revealed made Yang Hao frown. Is there another supreme genius from the Emperor's list coming to attack? He knew that Tiantong Holy Land was well informed, and the other party directly warned him in order to show goodwill. Along the way, Yang Hao was also very aware of what he was going through. He was not arrogant, but directly used the sky-breaking talisman to break the sky. Open the space and directly enter the space avenue. He, Master, someone wants to sneak attack us. But it has been moved away by the little girl. As soon as he entered the space avenue, Yang Hao sensed the terrifying murderous intention. Just when Yang Hao was about to make a move, the voice of the little girl came. Yang Hao's brows suddenly stretched. Snort. Afterwards, one by one they were cleared. Although he doesn't know who attacked and killed him, when he enters the realm of a saint, he will understand the cause and effect, and will naturally be able to find these guys who don't know whether to live or die through the cause and effect. After experiencing a near-miss attack and killing, Yang Hao returning from the South China Sea to the eastern region. On the way back to the Holy Land of Eternal Life, Yang Hao encountered several attacks and killings again. However, this time, they were all suppressed by Yang Hao. Strangeness. Yang Hao sensed these people who attacked and killed him, but he raised his brows, feeling quite strange. Looking at the gate of the holy land of eternal life gradually appearing in his eyes, Yang Hao's expression became heavier and heavier.